Hey, what's up, everybody? Juan Martinez, a.k.a. Dr. Love.
And I'm Stephanie Martinez-Reyes.
And you've just joined us on This Is Real. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in again with This Is Real. Man, I'm glad to be back.
Welcome back. Woo!
Come on. I forgot the a.k.a. Dr. Love, Stephanie, all that stuff. You know,
It's all right.
I forgot even how to do this.
Your presence is enough.
Oh, thank you. Man, I'm feeling the hair.
Thank you.
You know, this is awesome. You know, it's a show with real people, real problems, real solutions. And today we have a special guest. But before, you probably see him already, right? Did they see them? Pastor Ray is in the building.
Woo-hoo!
We're excited
What's up,
about
guys?
that. Come
How
on,
y'all
rise
doing?
up. If you would have caught the conversation right before we started talking, it was all about being lean, man. You look good. Inside joke. Inside joke. Let me tell you.
Oh, man.
Listen, before we get into our dialogue, Prison Break. It's, let's see, August 6th. What do we have, 31 days in this month, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's next week. Is it
Yep.
next week?
Something like that. Close
Man.
enough.
Couple days.
Okay, give me some grace, guys. You know it's going to take me a little bit. But August 6th, it's on pre-order
It's
now.
on pre-order now.
August 6th, it releases.
Yes, sir.
Right? August 6th, it releases. And let me tell you something. I am laughing too much right now. But okay. I need you to go get the book from August 5th to August 10th. I'm going to do a contest coming here soon. I'm probably going to do a live, or maybe I'll mention it here on the next show. But August 5th through August 10th, I need 5,000 people to buy this book. Why? Because I want to take it to the New York Times bestseller, just so that the world can see what God can do in a person's life that was addicted to drugs, they've been incarcerated. I think that's important. It gives people hope. So I need your help to go buy the book, tell your family to go buy the book, tell your friends, your cousins, everybody to go buy the book. It's a good read. It's a really good read. Have you been reading it?
No, I have not.
I have not. Man.
But I'm ready to do it with everyone all together. So
All
we can start in 20
together.
days. Come on.
Good one. Community. Hey, Pastor Ray,
Yes,
Rise Church, everything's going good. A lot of times people look from the outside and they see this huge church in Abilene that's killing it.
Yeah.
And men's home, women's home.
Yeah.
You guys just opened up a women's home? When did
Yep.
you do that?
January 1st of 23.
Okay. And then you're opening up another home.
Yes.
And these homes, what do they do?
Yeah, recovery home in general. Anybody who's going through anything in life, from addiction to divorce, anxiety, depression, really anything.
Yep.
We bring them in off the streets or wherever they are and get them into our 1-year program. And
Nice.
let Jesus do their recovery for them.
Nice. It's a one step
Yeah.
one step from
Out of the darkness into the light.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And so you have all that, but it didn't always start like that for you.
Yeah.
Why are you so passionate about opening up all these homes and about everything you do?
Yeah, for sure. So my upbringing wasn't in church. You know, somebody just asked me that yesterday. Were you raised in church? And I wasn't raised in an unbelieving family or a bad family, but
Yeah.
you know how life is. Middle
Yeah.
school, high school, trying to be caught up in the cool crowd, and eventually found myself addicted to drugs, pills, alcohol, anything that you could think of. Similar story. And, found myself overdosing multiple times on heroin. And I thought I was going to a rehab. I thought I was reaching out to a regular rehab, but come to find out, I was reaching out to a discipleship home
Yeah.
that was a part of a church and had no clue that Jesus was what I actually needed.
Wow.
Yeah, for sure.
How long you were addicted to heroin, all this stuff? How long?
Yeah, I did from 15 to 25, when I went into the home.
Because you got a bunch of mugshots. I know I'm always, a ton of them.
Yeah,
Right? Like
yeah.
I seen you post, and you don't have like 3. You have like it's like all these. I'm like, what is it? It looks like every year when you get a school picture, he has it in mugshots.
I got the school picture and then the mugshot.
The
next to it,
mugshot.
yeah.
Man, near-death
Yeah.
experiences? Because I know I seen one where you're like laying in a hospital bed.
Yeah, for sure.
And what happened there?
My first heroin overdose. I pulled up to a stop sign, and I had to kind of get this story later on, but I overdosed, and I hunched forward, and I kept my foot on the brake, thank God, because there's an underpass where cars were coming on, full speed.
Yeah.
And I just collapsed forward, and by the grace of God, it was no coincidence, there was an off-duty police officer behind me, so he was honking his horn trying to get me to go. And he realized I wasn't going anywhere. He jumps out of his car, goes up to the front, and he looks at me. My face is blue, and I'm hunched forward, overdosed on heroin. So he was able to call in an ambulance right then and there. and they started with the Narcan and hit me with defibrillators, and that will be the first of 6 overdoses.
Wow.
Yeah.
So not only so you've experienced this all yourself.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
So it's not only like having a home just to have a home.
Very personal, yes, sir.
You know, I don't know. I always say because my sons, they both went through Rise, so I, you know, that's a dear thing to my heart, right? 'Cause
Yes, for sure.
Every time I look at you, I'm like, yes. You know, I look at my son, I'm like, yes. It's like a pivotal part in Jonathan's life.
Absolutely.
You know, and so and I wouldn't change a thing because he's just doing incredible, right?
Yeah,
and
for sure.
I wanted to ask you a question because I know a lot of people are watching, a lot of people that are incarcerated, you know, all over the nation, and a lot of times they're asking me, hey, you know, can I parole out there? Is that possible? Can a person kind of like, instead of going to a halfway house, kind of go there to keep their walk? Because I know that was, for me, I didn't go to a home like that, but I went to Calvary Commission, which is like a missionary place, right? And I needed that step before I went home. So I wasn't getting high no more or nothing, but I felt like I needed that step to kind of like, for me, I always tell people I wanted to see if I could make it. You know, you had to be there at 8, you know, and I wanted to see if I could follow rules. Because even though I had Jesus and all that, I didn't know how I was going to act when I got out. And there was a liquor store there, and there was a hood there, and there was females, right? I was like, let me see if I could, before I mess anybody up, right? Because Ruthie's like, come to Houston. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do that. I was like, I'll mess y'all all up. I need to know if I'm going to be fine. Because if not, you know, so I felt like that was an important step. Is it possible to go, you know, there's women watching, you know, is it possible to go to Rise?
Yeah, for sure. And there's one thing I want to elaborate on about what you said to everybody who is locked up in prison and jail. One thing that it kind of frustrates me when people say that that's just jailhouse faith that they have.
Yeah.
That's to downplay the work of the Holy Spirit in prison and in jail. Like if God's not really moving in their lives, what you're saying is right. If God is moving, He's definitely moving in those prisons.
Yeah.
And you know, and I know, we
totally.
know that they're more free than they are than people are out here
all day long.
You know, like what your book is saying.
Yeah.
So I really don't like when people say that that's just a bunch of jailhouse faith. No,
Totally.
it's real faith. What we have to do is keep the accountability and the disciplines and moving from a super structured life and then coming back into the free world, what they call it. And but they don't have that. And so it's just like this huge contrast from one to the other, and they don't have the same structure. So what you're talking about is going from prison into a recovery home or some type of, you know, program.
Yeah.
A lot of times they don't want to do that because they've already been locked up. But
all day long. Everybody always says that. Another jail?
Yeah. But what you're talking about is so you don't ever have to spend another day in jail for the rest of your life.
Totally.
And so, yes, people have paroled out as long as they know, the parole officer will talk to them, as long as they know what kind of program this is, that they don't just stay in the home. We travel all over the place. And so they're back and forth from church and traveling and, you know, helping out the community and things like that. But absolutely. Matter of fact, I highly recommend that.
Yeah.
Instead of just going back and getting a job and now you're working 12-hour days, 14 days
Easing
on.
your way back into society, right?
For sure.
Easing your way back and seeing some of your flaws and stuff.
For sure. If you're tired of prison and jail, you don't ever have to go back. Then the best thing to do is to get around some people who've been there and show you a structured life in the quote unquote free world, really in the kingdom of God out here in the free. You know?
Go ahead. I see you processing.
So you guys were talking about like, before we started filming, you were saying, I always left, you know, 12-step and all this different stuff. And obviously I'm witness also because Jonathan is who he is now because of your home and things like that. So what would you say is like the major difference between, because for someone maybe they just accepted Christ, they don't even know what a disciple, we throw around the word discipleship home, right? But everyone else is used to, oh man, you know, recovery program or you know, halfway house. But I know that there's a major difference between those things. What would you say is like, other than we know it's Jesus, right? But there's also like, I remember, you know, guys to be on a discipline and like you know, there's different rules, men, women, all this sorts of stuff, and just accountability. I feel like accountability in the discipleship home is a lot higher than you just, like you said, jumping into a workforce or going into a halfway house where you're just basically in and out. So what would you say is like the major like
differences? That's really good. I'm glad you said that, because a lot of times we use church words.
Oh yeah, totally.
And like the new believers really don't have a clue, or Christianese or whatever. Same thing with discipleship homes. We throw that around, but even I thought whenever I was going into I thought I was going to a rehab, but little did I know it's a discipleship home. Who has a clue what that actually is?
Yeah.
I would say the biggest difference between, so we don't do 12 steps, and it's not a knock to anything, like it doesn't work. That's just not our method. It's just we go through a systematic theology through the Word of God. But the brotherhood, what you said, the accountability is the number one thing.
Community.
Jesus sent them out in twos, so everywhere we go, you'll see people together. Accountability, of course, the discipline. There's always this feeling like it's a correctional officer. We have that's one of the first mind shifts that they have to make, is that your leaders are not COs. When they're the officer on deck, they always joke around.
I know,
But it's of breaking that mentality of, holding your brother accountable is not snitching.
Yeah.
You this isn't your friend, this is your brother now. So accountability, discipline, doing what you're told to, doing what you're supposed to without being told now. And then
it's the goal. We call that maturity. It's good.
And then of course, if the goal is self-discipline, and if you don't have self-discipline, we can give you some. Right. So we have discipline as well, but we see it in the Word of God, and we practice that out daily. So it's a brotherhood there, and it's people who are willingly, voluntarily there. I always tell them, we make a joke. I say, how many doors are there? 17 doors. Do any of them lock? None of them. They're all emergency crash bars. You can leave at any moment that you want. But to have 70 guys from different walks, different backgrounds, people from prison, people from off the streets, homeless people, and like Pastor Horace, he preached for me this Sunday, never did a drug in his life, never had a drinking issue, none of that, but did.
Stephanie either, she got incarcerated though one time. I just want to put that on the record.
Bank robbery?
He went to jail one time while I get rapped. What was it for?
Defending the faith, really?
Her apologetics.
One time we were like, instead of like, hey, get me out, we're like, yeah.
It was a setup. You know how they do like undercover boss? Pastor just wanted me to go to jail one time so that I could be like,
how else was she? That's how we do it.
He paid the officers, that's what it happened.
Oh my God. But hey, I want to ask you something, because I know we're talking about discipleship homes, we're talking about, and all. What are some of the struggles you've had, or like, because how long have you been clean now? Like just drugs?
Yeah, 13 years.
So 13 years you haven't done drugs. Okay, that's amazing. Yeah. So in that 13 years, what were some of the beginning struggles? Do you remember? Because even for you, it's always stays green, right? Because you see guys going like their first year all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? What does that first year look like for a person that maybe they are getting high right now, right? Or maybe it's somebody's incarcerated, and maybe he's getting high in jail, right? But he's like, because I met somebody just recently like that was like still getting high and wanted to go to a program because he's like, man, I'm getting high here. I'm not even out. Yeah, and he was about to get out. So he's like, that means that when I get out, I'm like, yeah, you're going to be jacked.
Yeah.
So, I think he found the place and all that and was really excited while he was in there, like a program in there. And so he was still going to get out and go to another program. What are some of the things you had to battle, right? Because, I know, but I want to hear from you. Like, what are some of the things you have to battle, like, especially when you first start your sobriety? What are some of the things you see?
I think your circle, your friends, and we come from that lifestyle in the streets that we were together no matter what. We stuck together. Yeah. And one of us go, we all go mentality. And then now I leave for 6 months, I come back to Abilene, and I have to cut off all my friends. And I see them, I love them, but I know that, I'm an extremist. That's why we ended up doing what we were doing. So you have to make an extreme line in the sand and saying that we're going to be on this side.
Definitely extremist. Thank you for admitting that, Pastor.
For sure. Can't leave us two together for too long. And but I would say, you're gonna the pendulum has to swing, and especially in your first years, sometimes it would look a little religious or legalistic, but I really didn't know what I could and couldn't do, so I swung all the way and stayed with my church fam now. And I love everybody. I told all my friends, but I'm just not coming around. I can't. I'm not witnessing to them. I'm not going to pray for them. God sends someone else to them, but I can't go back to the same place as I was.
Yeah.
So for sure, and I just jumped into church world, and I just jumped into anytime the doors of the church were open, I was there. So, but I had to submerge myself into this new life because I already knew it's not going to take long to be with your old friends, and if they're still doing the same exact thing, I mean, how long is it going to take before you start doing the same things you were used
all
to?
day long.
We want to thank all of our partners who support us. Because of you, This Is Real has a tremendous reach from Houston to Galveston and up to the Austin area.
This show reaches over 100 prisons nationwide with over 500,000 inmates tuning in weekly to hear the good news through our radio show and the Pando app.
To partner with us, visit juanmartinez.tv or download the free Get Rap TV app.
So I say your circle. You're going to have to find a new circle, and that's hard, because you feel disloyal to your friends. But one of my friends told me, there's a story. That's how you know you have good friends. Somebody from the street was trying to get a hold of me after I left the home, and he went and asked one of my best friends for my phone number. And he was like, no. He's like, nobody's reaching out to him. And he was like, he's doing good right now, so we're not giving out his number. And he even stayed away from me as well. And he understood and didn't take any offense to it. But I think that's one of the biggest challenges, because you don't want to look like this super holy Christian that you're better than everybody. But you know that you're still weak and you're still growing, and you got to surround yourself with the right people. So for sure, your surroundings got to change.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Everything. It's for me. It was even like music. Like I couldn't, when I first got saved and I got out,
sure.
and they're like, "Yo, did you hear this Christian rap?" Like I couldn't even hear
Yeah.
Christian rap. They were talking about Jesus, and I couldn't. I had to like carry Job it, like everything.
Oh, for
like
sure.
not even one rap song, because the beat.
Yeah.
Would put me in, like just in this place, and even though they were singing about Jesus, I would be hearing other things, So I couldn't hear like Christian rap for like a year.
Yeah.
Like it was until like I kind of got kind of okay, where I was stronger, that didn't affect me anymore. And I know some people are like, just listen to this, and some people can. For me, I was so submerged into that life that if the beat was dope, it kind of just put me in the, you know what I'm saying, drop top. I'm like, yeah, I'm smoking, all that. So I had to like avoid even things that would probably trigger things inside of me, and been honest to myself that I couldn't. Because sometimes people will try to push you into things just because they can, and they don't really know that you can't, right? And so I think being honest of where you're at is important. Most of the time when I always fell back was because like everybody else was drinking and I didn't want to feel corny. You with me? So they're like, have a beer. And it's like, so, you would somehow justify that, oh, well, I could drink, because as long as I'm not doing crack, right? So you're like, it's just a beer, So, but that usually would get me back to some of the other things, because I get bored of stuff, so I'd be like, a beer, 6 beers, 12 beers, a shot, smoking.
Yeah.
So I think being honest of where you're at is really important. If you're not honest to yourself, you lie to everybody else. You know?
For sure.
So I think that's really important.
One of my favorite things that we hear a lot, right?
Yeah.
Is either the mom, the dad, the husband, the wife that's like, no, you don't understand. Like, my kids, I got to go work and I got to provide for them and this and this and that. And it's like, we know you weren't doing that anyways. That's why you ended up going to jail.
Yes.
But something happens that as soon as they get out or they're free, they're like, no, this is what I have to do. And so they see like a year of pouring into themselves and getting right as like, oh no, so how do you teach that mentality to be like, no, this is actually what's going to set the foundation for
that is so good. So I go to my own story. Whenever I was in the home for 2 weeks, my son was turning 3 years old, and he's 2. And I tell this I tell this to the home.
Your son's unbelievable. Remy's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just had to throw that in there. That young man is like, oh no, he's like, I send him a book, he's gonna read it. Like, at a young age like that, that's super dope. Like,
he comes to me, he's reading the systematic theology book. That you
I gave him the systematic theology book.
Yeah. He reads it too. So
that's dope. Yeah. But go ahead.
So where my son is now. He's 16, in love with God. Ministering to people already. People reaching out to him in the youth, and he's counseling them. But 2 years old, in the home, turning 3. I was in the home for 2 weeks already. And the way the enemy plays is, you know you're out of there. You need help. You need to get sober. And then you start getting sober. I mean, you get saved. You start getting some color back in your face. You feel better. You're getting your energy back. And all of a sudden, like you said, you need to go get the job now. I need to go take care of my family. And that's what my mind was. And I was just thinking of every bad situation, every time I wasn't there for my family, every time I left and got high, and I was like, all right, I got to go fix that now. So I was ready to leave the home early. And I remember I was out with Pastor JoJo in the front yard, and I was trying to convince him that I'm ready to go.
Yeah,
and
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good. 2 weeks in.
Yeah. It's crazy.
My story's different than everybody else's.
Yeah.
And I told him it's his birthday. He needs me, and I want to be there, and I want to surprise him for his birthday. And he told me, he said, all right, so you're going to pack your bags and go home early. 2 weeks. Didn't finish your commitment because how much you love your son. And you're going to say, surprise, son, happy birthday. I love you so much. I left this program so I could be here for you for your 3rd birthday. Or another version of this is you're going to stay here in the home, write him a letter and say, son, I love you so much. For your birthday, what I'm going to give you is a man of God as a father. So your birthday present is me staying in this home to make sure that I can raise you the way I'm supposed to for the rest of my life.
Wow.
And then I got mad at him because that was too good to argue with.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I unpacked my stuff, went back upstairs. And thank God, because the decisions that you make today determine the stories that you tell tomorrow.
All day
Greg
long.
Rochelle. But it was now, would I have been able to tell the story about Remy? You sending him a book, or even knowing you, if we didn't do what God was telling us to do in that moment. So I tell the people, whenever they're thinking about that, leaving their kids, one of our women's home graduates, that was one of the hardest things, was leaving her daughter behind. But then her daughter starts coming to church, and her daughter's praising and worshiping and praying. And we're seeing this testimony. And then when she graduated after the 1 year, the whole family's up there. And I'm like, this is why we do what we do. And it's painful, but that's what sacrifice is. Sacrifice isn't sacrifice until it hurts. And what we did in our past life hurts, and it's gonna be painful as well. There's some sacrifices and there's consequences, but I just feel like whenever you're sick and tired of being sick and tired and you're done, you're gonna do whatever it takes to make that transformation. So I would say, yes, there's a job, but there's jobs out there. There's always gonna be a time to work on your credit score and go pay your bills and all this stuff.
I gotta fix my credit. You're like,
I'm like,
Okay, so I wanted to, 2 things. How do they get in contact with like Rise, or like, persons there? Is there a place they could write to? Is there, maybe I think they get it on the internet because obviously they're watching us. But,
yeah, for sure.
How do they do that?
risehome.org.
Rise Home.
Yeah, if you can find that. And then all of our information is on there.
Yep.
And yes, they can write. We'll write back. They give us a call. They can fill out prayer requests or intake questions.
Nice.
And if you're getting ready to parole out or whatever, we could start that process with you to get your information. We have a legal team to reach out to talk to parole and probation officers.
Yeah.
And but definitely we want to be available for anybody 24/7.
Okay, we want to put him in the DeLorean and ask him a question because I feel like he has some good answers.
So. You shared a little bit about, your testimony, your experience, but if you could go back to any age and time and you could give yourself a piece of advice, what age would you go back to and what would you tell yourself?
15.
What's 15-year-old Ray look like?
What's he doing? Yeah.
About to become a people pleaser, follow the crowd, think that my identity was built in what I saw, what I thought was cool.
Yeah.
I would tell myself, it doesn't matter what people have to say, what people think. It's going to be the worst thing is trying to win the approval of anyone else around you, for sure.
That's dope.
Okay, I still tell myself that today.
So you came back. I'm going to put you back in the car.
Yeah,
I'm going to put you back 2 more times because I want to ask this thing. So I'm going to put you back in the car right before you became a pastor. What advice would you give yourself to that Ray?
Do not be a people pleaser.
Same thing.
All over again. The same thing that happened in the streets is the same thing that happens in the church. We dressed it up on one side, and then I dressed it up in the church world on the other side, trying to please one crowd or the next. Having a church member leave, that were educated, or I always felt like I wasn't good enough, or a family would walk in, a doctor or somebody would walk in, and I would second guess what I was wearing, or they think I'm just this young kid.
Totally.
And what I learned,
I get it.
Yeah, and
except I'm older, but I get it.
Same thing. But I think that if they're not supposed to be with you, they're not going to be with you.
Yeah.
And if they're supposed to be with you, they will be with you. And just learning to trust God in that process, that God's got your circle. He's got
really
your
good.
people, for sure.
It's really good. Amazing family. How long you been married now?
13 years.
13 years
Yeah.
to Sarah. Big shout out to Sarah.
Yeah.
Yep. And so I'm going to put you back in the car, right? You've been married for 13 years. You're in ministry. You're doing all this stuff, right? You've been through your things like we all have. I put you back in that vehicle, okay? I put you back in that vehicle. Stephanie's the one with the white hair. She's like, let's go, right? She drives you back in the DeLorean. And then you pop up at the time where you were about to get married. Mm-hmm. What advice would this Ray that's been married for 13 years in ministry, pastoring, has gone through the ups and downs, what advice would you give to that young Ray?
According to marriage?
Yeah.
Listen to understand. Don't listen to respond, for sure. Listen to what she has to say, that she's going to give me the best counsel. Don't handle issues without her a lot of the time, especially with marriage problems. Some of the most sound advice has come from my wife. And definitely. And honor, as quick as possible. I come from the street life, then fresh out the home. And she's not a disciple. She's my wife.
That's really good. She's like, hey, listen to this.
One of the dumbest things I've ever said. She was like, I'm not one of your students. I'm like, I know you're not. You'd be a lot further along if you were. And I said it. I was like,
that was not good. That was not good. That's not good.
It was at this moment, right?
Man, that is funny.
Yeah, for sure. I've learned that God has her there for a reason. Pastor Rick Mendoza, one of my good brothers, he told me, and he spoke into me. He was like, God, in this next season, God's going to use your wife to speak into so many situations, to speak into your own life. He's like, make sure you listen to what she has to say. And I regret not listening to her a lot of the time. So for sure, listen to what she has to say. Don't just listen to respond, for sure.
That's really good. That's really good. I hope everybody heard that today. Some good advice, Any last question you have for Pastor Ray?
I guess, so we spoke about, and we want to get as many people, into a great home as well. What encouragement would you give the ones that are the family, right?
Yeah.
Because we said choose a different circle, right? Mm-hmm. Hopefully you're not choosing a different wife. You know what I mean? So you might have like a wife or a husband who's not done all the wrong decisions, but is paying the cost of their spouse or their family member who has. Mm-hmm. So what encouragement would you give them?
While the other is going to the home? Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, this is what my wife excels in for sure, is to, because both sides need healing.
Mm-hmm. All day long.
And so, but just to know that this is the time to put God back on the throne, because the other person could have been as well, And so just praying for them nonstop. But just knowing that while they're growing, they're also going to have to be like super forgiving as well, because when this person goes and changes and all that, and when they come back into that environment, it's going to be really easy to be like, well, you're the one who did this, you're the one who did that. So just, I think, moving slow, trusting the process as well, and but seek, while the other person's getting help, for sure, seek God. Get healing, so whenever the other person comes out, you're on the same page.
That's good.
Yeah.
I would ask you questions about, lean and all this stuff, because I know there's some people in our audience that probably would want the tips. But
not the live audience.
The live audience. But, what we'll do is after this, maybe we'll bring you back and we could talk about, all the workout regimens you've been doing and stuff. Again, had to close the show with a little inside joke, but, there's a lot of people out there that want that. Okay,
Coming
man. Thank
soon.
you.
This is
Thank
real
you
workout
so
video.
much for being with us.
Appreciate
Thank
you
you
guys.
for all the wisdom.
Yeah.
You have an incredible church in Abilene. It's Rise. What's the?
RiseChurchOnline.org. Rise Church Abilene on YouTube.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And so thank you so much for always keeping it real and helping us keep it real and giving people real solutions today. That was really dope.
Appreciate you guys.
All right. Peace.
And that's a wrap. Thank you. This is Real Family for joining us. You can be a part of the crew by following us on social media or writing us at P.O. Box 671-626, Houston, Texas 77267.
And don't forget, stay real.